You're a goddamn black hole, Rachel. A 20-year-old black hole living in my house, sucking the life and money out of everything you touch. Those were my mother's words this morning. Not good morning, not did you sleep well, just that. A verbal fist to the gut before I'd even had a chance to open my eyes properly. Her voice, sharp as broken glass, sliced through the morning quiet of our suburban Chicago home. The new SUV. You drove it for a week before you accidentally wrapped it around a lamppost. The Vespa I bought you to replace it. You left the keys in the ignition at a Starbucks and, poof, gone. You tried to cook dinner one night and nearly burned the damn house down. The fire department said we were lucky. Lucky. And last week, you fall asleep managing the cafe, and someone walks out with the new espresso machine. My machine. Hundreds. Thousands of dollars, Rachel. Just gone. I've heard this speech before. Variations of it, at least. It's my morning alarm clock, my daily reminder of who I am in this family. I am Rachel, 20 years old, a high school graduate by the skin of my teeth, and a professional disaster. I hang out with kids whose parents have trust funds, so our nights bleed into mornings in downtown clubs where the bass thumps louder than my own conscience. I'm addicted to the rhythm, to the burn of cheap whiskey in my throat. Is less than #0. 3# is greater than to anything that drowns out the sound of my own failures. My mother, a woman whose name, Hope, had become a cruel joke, stood in my doorway, hands on her hips, her face a mask of pure exasperation. Look at you, she hissed, gesturing at me tangled in my duvet. It's almost 10 in the morning, the daughter of a cafe owner, and you can't even be bothered to smell the coffee. I pulled the covers over my head. It's my day off, I mumbled. Every day is your goddamn day off. The door slammed shut. I lay there, the silence suddenly heavier than her shouting. She was right, of course. She was always right. I was a catastrophe. My parents had even made me sign a notarized document. I'm not kidding. A formal agreement stating I was not to touch any vehicle, major appliance, or financial instrument belonging to the family without their explicit written permission. They were afraid of me, my own parents. Mom used to joke, a joke with teeth, that she was going to have a small, state-funded house of compassion built for me in the backyard. That way, she could keep an eye on me forever. Her backup plan? Find me a husband so profoundly stupid, so utterly clueless, that he wouldn't notice he was marrying a walking liability. She'd have to manage both of us, she'd say, like two overgrown children. My God, how they underestimated me. Or maybe they estimated me perfectly. The truth is, I never wanted to get married. Marriage is a cage. It's mortgages and screaming babies and asking for permission. It's a life sentence of PTA meetings and minivans. I'm a creature of freedom, of impulse. I was determined to die alone, probably in a fabulous and reckless way, but my determination was no match for my mother's desperation. For the past few months, she'd been on a mission. Her morning jogs with her neighborhood friends had turned into reconnaissance missions. She'd come home, flush with gossip about their daughters. One was in law school. Another had started a successful online boutique, and her eyes would land on me, her great, beautiful failure, and still asleep. That's how it all started, with a knock, no, a pounding on my door. Rachel, it's 9 o'clock. Are you going to sleep your life away? I cracked an eye open. The light was blinding. It's early, Mom. I groaned. Early? What cafe in this city opens after 9? Ours, apparently. I shot back, instantly regretting it. You want me to take the door off its hinges? Because I will. Sighing, I dragged myself out of bed, my body aching from a night out I barely remembered. I opened the door, squinting. "You're so loud." Smack! Her hand connected with the back of my head. Not hard, but enough to make my point. "Open your eyes." 9 o'clock. Get downstairs, clean up the patio. Other people's daughters are up at 5 a.m., building empires. And you? You're a professional bedwarmer who costs this family a fortune every year. I'm not that bad, I muttered, but my voice lacked conviction. Her eyes softened for a fraction of a second, a flicker of something that might have been love, or maybe just pity. "Find a boyfriend, Rachel. Find someone. Get married." I scratched my head, the idea so absurd it was almost funny. "Mom, good guys are like parking spots in the city. All the good ones are taken, and the rest are handicapped. I'm not getting married. What happened to building me my little house in the backyard?" She sighed, a long, weary sound that seemed to carry the weight of my entire 20 years. "I can't afford to support you anymore, Rachel. Your husband can support you. If you don't want to get married, then get a job. A real one. And pay your own way. You're my mother. You're supposed to support me. For 20 years. I have. 20 years. And do you have any idea how much your mistakes cost me last year alone? I'm going to have to refinance the house because of you. Other people have daughters who are a blessing. I have a daughter who's a line item in my bankruptcy report. When, Rachel, when are you going to grow up?" Her words hit their mark. For the first time, it wasn't just nagging. It was despair. I felt a hot flush of shame creep up my neck. I stormed out, spent the rest of the day sulking at the cafe, pointedly ignoring customers. That evening, my mom found me wiping down tables. Her face was lit up with a terrifying kind of excitement. "Rachel, come here, honey, quick." I was still angry from the morning. I didn't move. "What do you want?" "Sit down." "You remember my friend, Carol? From my book club? The loud one?" "Yes, that's her." "Well, her sister, Elizabeth. She has a son. He's 30, has his own tech company. He's been so busy with work, he hasn't had time to date. They're looking to set him up with someone nice." My blood ran cold. "You didn't." "I told Carol all about you." I jumped to my feet, without asking me. "Mom, are you serious? I am not going on some arranged date." "Absolutely not. This isn't some arranged date. They're a good family, Rachel. A respectable family. He's successful. This is a lottery ticket, and you're trying to tear it up. I don't care. People meet, they fall in love, they get married, and even then, it's a coin toss. You think a blind date set up by two gossiping old women is going to work? Forget it. It's never going to happen." I grabbed my jacket and walked out, her voice calling after me. "It's a miracle anyone's willing to take a chance on you. You should be grateful." I didn't look back, but a few blocks away, Carol was already at her sister Elizabeth's house, sealing my fate. "Liz, I think I found someone for Alexander," she said, beaming. Elizabeth emerged from her kitchen, wiping her hands on an apron. "Oh, tell me everything." "She's the daughter of a friend of mine. They own that lovely little coffee shop, The Daily Grind, over on Maple Street. You know the one." "I do." "How old is she?" 20. "She helps her parents at the cafe." Carol leaned in conspiratorially. "I haven't met the girl myself, but her mother is a lovely, decent woman. I'm sure the apple doesn't fall far from the tree." Elizabeth nodded slowly. "Well, we have to start somewhere. Alexander is so quiet, reserved. I worry a girl like that might find him boring." "Don't you worry about a thing, Liz. Let me handle it. I'll arrange for them to accidentally meet. And so, My life, the one I thought I was in control of, was about to be hijacked. The next few days were a masterclass in psychological warfare. My mother's nagging about the blind date was relentless. I was in a foul mood, which was terrible for business. I glowered at customers, slammed their coffee down on the counter. I just wanted to be left alone. Around noon, a sleek, black Audi pulled up, parking directly in front of our picturesque storefront, completely blocking the view. A man got out. He was tall, dressed in a simple but expensive-looking sweater, with kind eyes and a slightly nervous energy. He walked in, smiling pleasantly. "Hi, can I get a carje?" Loffy? I was already irritated. Now I had to deal with a customer who couldn't speak properly. My patience snapped. "We have large coffee," I said, emphasizing the consonant. "We don't have whatever it is you just said." He blushed, a deep crimson that spread from his neck to his ears. He scratched the back of his head. "Right, sorry, large coffee, black," but he couldn't help himself. He mumbled it under his breath again. "Carj Loffy." It wasn't a lisp, just a weird quirk. I sighed dramatically. "Are you serious? In this day and age, you still can't say coffee?" I pointed a thumb toward the door. "And hey, you planning on moving your car anytime soon? We have one storefront. I spent a week on the flower boxes, and you've parked your midlife crisis right in front of it. No one can even see we're open. Move it." He just stood there for a second, his mouth slightly agape, looking like a deer caught in the headlights. I thought for sure he'd just turn around and leave, but he didn't. He just nodded meekly, went outside, moved his car down the street, and then came back in. "Okay if I sit?" he asked, as if he needed permission. "It's a coffee shop, not a museum. Do what you want." I slammed his coffee down on the counter. "Here, thanks," he said, then sat at a small table, looking at me. I tried to ignore him, scrolling through my phone, but I could feel his eyes on me. Every time I glanced up, he'd quickly look away, pretending to be fascinated by the sugar packets. What is with this guy? I thought. He looks shifty. Is he casing the joint? Planning to rob me? Better be careful. If he's still here when the last customer leaves, he's getting a face full of pepper spray. And he was. He nursed that one cup of coffee for 2 solid hours. Finally, everyone else was gone. I walked over to his table and stood there, arms crossed. "All right, we don't know each other, so why have you been staring at me for the last 2 hours? He fumbled, knocking his spoon to the floor. I wasn't. I didn't think I was. Right. And I'm the Queen of England. You trying to pull something? Some kind of multi-level marketing scam? A timeshare pitch?" He looked genuinely confused. "What? No. Why would you think that?" I leaned in, lowering my voice. "Look, pal, I've seen your type before. You can drop the act. Whatever you're selling, I'm not buying. And just so you know," I gestured to the empty space where the espresso machine used to be. "The last scammer who came through here already cleaned us out. There's nothing left to take but me, and trust me, my mom would probably pay you to do it." His eyes widened in genuine panic. I don't understand anything you're saying. I promise, I'm not trying to scam you. You're not? No, then get out." He looked so dejected, like a kicked puppy. He drained his cup, stood up, and fumbled with his wallet. "How much do I owe you?" $4.50. He pulled out a $100 bill. It was the only thing he had. I saw red. "Are you kidding me? You're screwing with me, right? $4.50, and you give me 100? I've been open since 10. I don't have that kind of change." "I'm so sorry. I don't have anything smaller. I really didn't mean to. I was losing my mind. This guy was sent from hell to personally torment me. I gritted my teeth. Find an ATM or I'm cutting this bill in half. Your choice. Okay. Just wait here. I'll be right back, he said, practically running out the door. Meanwhile, back at Elizabeth's house, Carol was getting an update. So, how did it go? Did Alexander go to the cafe? Elizabeth beamed. He left at 11:30 and he's still not back. I'm so nervous. Oh, Carol, if they hit it off, it would just be perfect. They live so close, and we already know the family. It would be such a blessing. Just then, the black Audi pulled into the driveway. Alexander walked in, looking like he'd just survived a natural disaster. His mother and aunt jumped up. Alexander, how was it? Did you meet the girl? He nodded slowly. I met her. And? Isn't she lovely? Alexander let out a strange little laugh. She's beautiful, but she's terrifying. Exactly like Grandma. The next morning, my mother's tactics changed. The shouting was gone, replaced by a terrifying, syrupy sweetness. Rachel, my sweet girl. Time to wake up. I was half asleep, and for a second, I thought I was dreaming. The she-devil of my house had been replaced by a fairy godmother. Wake up, sweetie. Let's go get breakfast, and then we'll go shopping. You said you wanted some new clothes, didn't you? This has to be a dream, I thought. A very weird dream. Is this a sign? Is the world ending? Her hand stroked my hair, and my eyes flew open. It was real. She was standing there, smiling, a wide, unsettling smile. Mom, what's going on? What do you mean, sweetie? Let's go have a mother-daughter day. I was immediately suspicious. Oh God. You found out about your vintage Versace blouse, didn't you? Mom, I am so sorry. I thought it was a cleaning rag, and I used it to wipe up some grease by the stove, and it caught fire. I promise I'll... She just laughed, a light, airy sound I hadn't heard in years. Oh, that old thing? Don't worry about it. If it's burned, we'll just buy a new one. Now, get dressed, honey. Breakfast is waiting. I got ready, my mind racing. This was beyond strange. As we were leaving, I grabbed the keys to the cafe. Oh, no need for those today, sweetie, she said, taking them from my hand. We're closing for the day. You work so hard, you deserve a rest. Okay. Now I knew something was profoundly wrong. Closing on a Sunday? The busiest day of the week? Who are you, and what have you done with my mother? I asked, dead serious. She just rolled her eyes, but the smile didn't falter. Don't be dramatic. Let's go. We had brunch, then we went shopping, and she didn't just buy me a few things. She bought me everything. New dresses, new shoes, a new watch, a new handbag. My arms were laden with bags. Mom, seriously, I said, as she dragged me into a shoe store. Did you win the lottery? Don't be silly. Did you find a bag of money? Of course not. Then why are you doing this? She stopped and looked at me, her eyes gleaming. Because my daughter is a grown woman now. She needs to look beautiful, you know, to attract a good man. And there it was. The other shoe dropped. Ah, I said, my heart sinking. It's all about him, isn't it? The blind date. She squeezed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. I love you, Rachel, which is why I want you to get married. So please, love me back and stop fighting this. I went silent. The beautiful clothes suddenly felt like a bribe. A very expensive, very stylish bribe. That afternoon, I went to see my best friend, Jessica. She had just announced she was getting married to a guy she'd met only a month ago. A guy her parents had set her up with. "You're insane," I told her, sipping a beer on her balcony. "This is the 21st century. Who even does matchmaking anymore?" "Hey, sometimes the old ways work," she said with a shrug. "You can learn to love someone after you marry them." I thought she was crazy. Utterly, completely crazy. I left her place as the sun was setting. It was that tricky time of day, dusk, when the glare from oncoming headlights turns everything into a blur. I'd forgotten my glasses. Damn it, I thought, blaming Jessica for keeping me so long. As I approached a three-way intersection, I was so focused on a car turning left that I didn't see the black Audi pulling out from the right. I swerved, but it was too late. I slammed my scooter directly into the front bumper, flying backward and landing hard on the pavement. The car screeched to a halt. "Oh my God, are you blind? Watch where you're going," I screamed, my ankle throbbing in pain. The driver's door opened. "I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" I knew that voice. That gentle, slightly clumsy voice. I looked up. It was him, the guy from the coffee shop. "You," I breathed. "It's you," he said, his eyes wide with disbelief. He rushed to my side. "Let me help you up. Are you hurt?" I just stared at him. "I swear, I don't know what I did to you in a past life, but it must have been horrible for me to deserve this. You are the most annoying person I have ever met." He had the decency to look sheepish. You were driving on the wrong side of the road. "My house is right over there. I was taking a shortcut," I snapped. "You're lucky I'm not seriously hurt, or you'd be in deep trouble." "I'm sorry," he said again, his voice filled with genuine concern. "Please, don't be angry." He helped me up. I brushed myself off. "Whatever, I'm going home." As I limped back to my scooter, he called out, "Drive safe." I just rolled my eyes and sped away. The next morning, as I was setting up the tables outside the cafe, there he was again, walking toward me, holding a large bag of fruit. "What are you doing here?" I asked, annoyed. "I told you, I'm fine." He walked in and sat down at his usual table. "One large coffee, please." I glared at him. "It's brown coffee." "Right, brown coffee," he corrected himself, a small smile playing on his lips. "I can't seem to fix that." He paused. "So, how do you know my name?" I froze. "What? You knew my name?" "Last night, at the cafe. I remember. You didn't say it, but I could tell." "How?" It was my turn to be flustered. He was right. I hadn't said it, but I'd been thinking it. Alexander. That was the name my mother had been repeating for days. He answered his own question. "It was my mom, wasn't it? And Aunt Carol. They told you. They set this whole thing up. We were supposed to be on a blind date." I stared at him, speechless. Of course, it was him, the 30-year-old tech mogul my mother was trying to sell me to. "So, you're the guy," I said flatly. "The nephew of the loud lady from the book club." "That's me," he said, smiling. "Now that we've met a few times. What do you think?" I looked him over. He was handsome, in a quiet, unassuming way. "You seem nice. A little too nice, maybe? Should a man be cruel to a woman?" I had to admit, he had a point. I nodded slowly. Maybe. Maybe he wasn't so bad after all. And that's how it happened. A few more meetings, a few more conversations. My mom and his mom pushing from all sides. My friends meeting him once and immediately falling in love with him. "Marry him, Rachel. He's perfect. He's kind. He listens to you. What more do you want?" He was kind. He was patient. He let me be myself, even when I was being a total monster. "So, After 1 month, just 1 month, of this strange, orchestrated courtship, I said yes. My mom was so happy she practically danced on the tables at the cafe. You'd think she'd won the lottery, not that her only daughter was getting married. I felt less like a bride and more like a used car being driven off the lot. The wedding was a grand affair, a blur of white lace and champagne. And just like that, at 20 years old, I, Rachel, the girl who was never getting married, was now Mrs. Alexander Thorne. Our honeymoon was postponed due to a big project at his company. I didn't mind. I wasn't sure I was ready for a honeymoon anyway. The whole thing still felt surreal. My new life began. I'd heard stories about my new family. My father-in-law had passed away from cancer a few years ago. My mother-in-law, Elizabeth, was supposedly a saint. Alexander had a sister who was married and lived out of state. The real challenge, everyone warned me, was his grandmother, Grandma Eleanor. 80 years old, sharp as a tack, and ruled the house with an iron fist. Be on your best behavior, my mom had warned me, or she'll eat you alive. I wasn't scared. I figured if I was just myself, everything would be fine. Our wedding night arrived. I showered and got into bed, wrapping myself tightly in the duvet like a burrito. When Alexander came in, I pointed to the other side of the room. There's another blanket in the closet. This one's mine. He looked confused. We're not sharing? Nope. But we're married. It'll be warmer if I don't like sharing, I said firmly. Go get your own blanket before you freeze to death. He sighed and did as he was told, creating a little nest for himself on the far edge of the king-sized bed. I forbade him from even touching me. Every time his hand accidentally brushed against me in the night, I'd smack it away. Eventually, he just turned his back to me and fell asleep. I, on the other hand, couldn't sleep. The house was strange. The bed was strange. Sometime after midnight, in the dim glow of the nightlight, I saw it, a tiny mouse scurrying across the floor. I have a deep, primal, and utterly irrational fear of mice. I screamed, a blood-curdling shriek that shook the entire house. Alexander shot up in bed, his heart pounding. What? What's wrong? A mouse. There's a mouse. Get it? He blinked, trying to clear the sleep from his eyes, and then flopped back down onto his pillow. It's just a mouse, Rachel. Go back to sleep. No. I'm terrified of them. Get up and catch it. Catch it? Why? It's not bothering anyone. I'm tired. I wasn't having it. I kicked him, hard, sending him tumbling out of the bed and onto the floor. Get up and catch the damn mouse. He groaned, rubbing his head. You're scared of a mouse? Yes. Now go. Fine, I'll get it. And so began the great mouse hunt of our wedding night, the two of us, chasing this tiny creature all over the room. It was surprisingly fast. We knocked over lamps, sent books flying. We were crashing and stumbling, and at some point, when Alexander dove for the mouse and missed, landing face first on a pile of laundry, I started laughing. A real, deep belly laugh. He looked up at me, his hair a mess, and started laughing too. We were a team, a clumsy, chaotic, ridiculous team. It took us until 3 a.m, but we finally trapped it in a shoebox and released it out the window. Exhausted, we climbed back into bed. I was still in my own blanket burrito. He turned to me, a playful glint in his eye. You know, if you were over here, in my blanket, the mice wouldn't dare get you. I hesitated for a second. Then, I scrambled out of my own cocoon and dove under the covers with him. He wrapped his arms around me, pulling me close. See? He whispered, his breath warm against my ear. Safe. Is that true? I whispered back. Absolutely, he said. And then he kissed me, and our wedding night, which had started so cold and distant, finally began. The Cornish hen incident, or Gutgate as I secretly called it, marked a turning point. Grandma Eleanor now viewed me not just as an incompetent fool, but as a potential assassin. She held that grudge like it was a winning lottery ticket. Normally, a cleaning service came to the house 3 times a week, but after Gutgate, Eleanor decided to take matters into her own hands. The next time the cleaner, Maria, showed up, Eleanor met her at the door. "Maria, dear," she said with a brittle smile, "we won't be needing your services anymore." "Oh, is everything all right, Mrs. Thorne?" "Everything is perfectly fine. We just have new arrangements." And just like that, Maria was gone, and I became the new arrangement. The next morning, at 6 a.m. sharp, Eleanor was at my door. "Rachel, get up." I stumbled downstairs to find her standing in the living room like a drill sergeant, arms crossed. "Your mother-in-law has gone to the market," she announced. "Because you're new here, I've allowed her to do the shopping for a little while. Soon, that will be your responsibility as well. Your mother-in-law is getting older. She doesn't sleep well. It's your duty to take care of the house so she can rest. Do you understand?" I nodded meekly. "Yes, Grandma." "Good. Now, here is a broom. I want you to sweep the entire house, all 3 floors, then the patio, then the front porch. After that, you will mop. Then you will dust every surface and clean all the bathrooms. These are your daily chores. I will not remind you again. You will simply do them. Is that clear?" "Yes, Grandma. I don't know what kind of standards you were raised with, but in this house, everything is to be spotless, impeccable. Do you understand?" "Yes, Grandma." "Now, get to it. Your mother-in-law will be back soon, and then you will cook breakfast. We only eat home-cooked meals in this house. No takeout, no fast food. 3 proper meals a day. It's healthier. Wait. We eat a full, cooked breakfast every morning? Of course. 3 square meals. It's the foundation of good health. All that other junk you young people eat just ruins your stomach and fills you with disease." Just then, Elizabeth walked in, her bags overflowing with fresh produce. "There she is," Eleanor declared. "Now, into the kitchen, Rachel. Quick, quick. Alexander needs to eat before he leaves for work. He is the most important person in this house now. He provides for all of us." I followed Elizabeth into the kitchen. She gave me a sympathetic look. "Rachel, dear, why don't you just put the rice on? I'll handle the rest." "Okay, Mom." But Eleanor had followed us. She stood in the doorway, her eyes narrowed. "No, let Rachel cook. She needs to learn. If you do everything for her, you'll spoil her." Elizabeth just smiled, her serene, patient smile. "We'll cook together, Mom. It'll be faster and more fun." Eleanor sniffed disapprovingly and walked away, muttering, "Don't come crying to me when she starts taking advantage of you." Elizabeth turned to me and winked. "Don't mind her. She's all bark and no bite. Now, let's get this breakfast on the table." A little while later, Alexander came downstairs, dressed for work. He poked his head into the kitchen. "Morning, Mom." "Morning, honey. Is breakfast ready?" "Almost, dear," Elizabeth said. "Go get Grandma." We set the table. The food Elizabeth had prepared looked and smelled incredible. I was actually proud of my one contribution. A large, steaming pot of white rice. Alexander opened the rice cooker. He paused. Then he started to chuckle. "Rachel, did you cook this rice?" "Yes, I did," I said, beaming. He scratched his head, a familiar gesture of bewilderment. He just kept staring into the pot. "Alexander, serve the rice, son." Eleanor commanded from the head of the table. I can't, Grandma. It's not cooked. He looked at me. You forgot to press the cook button. I stared at the rice cooker. He was right. The light was off. The rice was just sitting there, raw grains in a pool of lukewarm water. I felt my face burn. But I did. I swear I pushed it. You pushed it, and yet here we are, with a pot of rice soup? Eleanor sneered. Alexander quickly stepped in. It's okay, everyone. I'll just grab something on the way to work. He left, and Eleanor immediately started in on me. You see, the poor boy has to go to work on an empty stomach, all because of you. He's going to waste away to nothing. In 1 month, he'll be nothing but skin and bones, I tell you. Elizabeth tried to smooth things over. He said he'd eat out, Mom. Don't worry. He's just saying that to be nice. That boy hasn't eaten a breakfast outside this house in 30 years. Rachel, she commanded, turning her glare on me. When the rice is finally cooked, you will pack it up and take it to his office. Do you hear me? He can't starve. Yes, Grandma. The three of us sat there, staring at a table full of beautiful food, waiting for the rice to cook. It finally did, but because it had been soaking for so long, it was a mushy, gluey mess. No one could eat more than a few bites. It was so disgusting that I didn't even bother taking any to Alexander. After breakfast, Elizabeth left to run some errands, leaving me alone with the dragon. Well, Eleanor said, the house isn't going to clean itself. Get to it. I swept, I mopped, I dusted, I scrubbed. The house was gleaming. But when Eleanor put on her reading glasses to inspect my work, she just shook her head. Not clean enough. Do it again. But Grandma, it's sparkling. I said, do it again. Do not argue with me. So I did. I mopped the entire house, from the 3rd floor down to the 1st, a second time. I was exhausted. My arms felt like lead. There, I said, panting. Is it clean enough for you now? She ran a finger along a windowsill. Still dusty. Do it again. I was about to lose my mind. Grandma, look. It's so clean you can see your reflection in the floor. Can't this wait until tomorrow? No. You will do it again. And you will do it again tomorrow. And if it's not clean, you will keep doing it until it is. Her voice was like ice. Now, are you going to do it or not? I sickened in defeat. Fine. She went back to her room to listen to her old-time radio shows. I stood there, staring at the mop, feeling utterly defeated. How could I possibly get it any cleaner? Then, I had an idea. An absolutely brilliant, foolproof idea. In the corner of the yard was a long, coiled hose that Alexander used to water the plants. I dragged it into the house, hauled it all the way up to the 3rd floor, and connected it to the faucet in the master bathroom. I turned the water on full blast. This will show her, I thought, a wicked grin spreading across my face as I sprayed down the hallway. She wants it clean? I'll give her clean. I'll wash this house like a car. The water cascaded down the stairs, a roaring waterfall of my own creation. I was so focused on my task, so delighted with my own genius, that I didn't hear Eleanor's radio click off. She was lying in her room when she heard the sound of rushing water. Is Rachel taking another shower? That girl is so wasteful, she thought. She got up to investigate. The moment her feet touched the floor, they landed with a splash. The entire 2nd floor was an inch deep in water. Rachel! She screamed, her voice filled with panic. Rachel, what have you done? I was still happily spraying the 3rd floor landing and didn't hear her. She hiked up her nightgown and waded out into the hallway. Rachel, where are you? The house is flooding. I finally heard her and turned off the water. I leaned over the 3rd floor railing. "It's okay, Grandma. I'm just washing the house for you. It'll be super clean. Turn it off right now. You're ruining everything." I ran downstairs. The first floor was a lake. Water was pouring through the light fixtures. I stared in horror. "Oh, oops. Don't just stand there," she shrieked. "Start bailing. Do you want to destroy this house completely?" The two of us spent the rest of the day, along with a very shocked Elizabeth, who had returned home to find her house transformed into a water park, mopping and bucketing and drying. Eleanor gave me a tongue lashing so severe it could have peeled paint. But from that day on, she never asked me to clean the house again. The cleaning service was rehired the very next morning. Elizabeth and Alexander had used the incident to their advantage, convincing her that my attempts at housework were more destructive than helpful. It was cheaper to just hire a professional. My new mission was to go back to school, get a degree, something, anything that would allow me to work at Alexander's company one day. With all my newfound free time, I was bored. And when I'm bored, I get into trouble. My old friends started calling again. "Rachel, come out with us. There's a new club downtown." The problem was, the Thorne family had rules, curfews, a distinct lack of late-night clubbing. But the itch was back. I hadn't been out, hadn't danced, hadn't felt the throb of the music in months. I was going crazy, so I devised a plan. I would take my husband with me. "Honey," I said to Alexander one night, "my cousin is having a birthday party. It's kind of a last-minute thing. Will you come with me?" I told Eleanor it was a family thing, and because my husband was with me, she didn't suspect a thing. I gave Alexander the address. As we pulled up, he looked at the flashing neon lights and the long line of people waiting to get in. This is a club," he said, looking confused. "I thought we were going to your cousin's house." I gave him my most winning smile. "Surprise, the party's in here. Come on, it'll be fun." Alexander had never been to a club in his life. The moment we stepped inside, the bass hit him like a physical blow. He winced and covered his ears. "What's wrong?" I shouted over the music. "It's so loud. I think my head is going to explode." I laughed and dragged him to the dance floor. My friends were already there, waiting for us. "Your husband is so wholesome," Jessica slurred, watching Alexander awkwardly sip a sparkling water at the bar. "Who comes to a club and orders a lemon-lime soda?" "He's a rare breed," I yelled back. "A collector's item." She giggled and pulled a small baggie out of her purse. Inside were 2 small pink pills. "Here," she said, pressing them into my hand. "One for you, one for the hubby. Let's get this party started." I took the pills. I was about to pop one in my mouth when my phone rang. It was my mom. I handed the pills to Alexander. "Here, hold these for a second." He couldn't hear me over the music. He thought I was giving them to him. He looked at them, shrugged, and swallowed both pills at once. I finished my call and turned back to him. "Okay, where are my pills?" He looked at me, confused. "What pills? You gave them to me." "I gave you both of them." "Yeah." "Why?" I ran back to Jessica, my heart pounding. "Jess, he took both of them. Is that bad?" Jessica's eyes went wide. "Both? Oh, crap. Rachel, you need to get him home, right now, before he starts trying to climb the walls." It was like a switch had been flipped. One minute, he was the quiet, reserved Alexander. The next, his eyes were wide. A goofy grin was plastered on his face, and he was dancing. Not just dancing, he was vibrating. He jumped on tables. He swung from a decorative pillar. He was a whirlwind of pure, unadulterated, chemically induced energy. I had to drag him out of there. By the time we got home, the effects hadn't fully worn off. Luckily, Eleanor and Elizabeth were asleep. I hustled him upstairs, locked our bedroom door, and turned on some music. He kept going, bouncing on the bed, dancing on the floor, his face slick with sweat. The soundproofing in the old house was a godsend. He finally crashed around dawn. I woke up a few hours later to find him curled up on the floor, hugging a speaker, his hair matted to his forehead. He looked so vulnerable, so pathetic. A wave of guilt washed over me. What had I done? I helped him into bed and pulled the covers over him. I swore to myself, right then and there, that I would never do that to him again. I would be a better wife. He slept until noon. When he finally woke up, he looked bewildered. Rachel, what happened? Why does my entire body feel like it's been hit by a truck? And my head, it's pounding. I took his hand. I'm so sorry, Alex. It's all my fault. I promise I will never, ever take you to a club again. I'm going to try. I'm really going to try to be a good wife to you. Please, don't be mad at me. He just looked at me, his eyes filled with a sleepy confusion, and nodded. I'm not mad, just confused. And I did try. I really did. I learned to cook with Elizabeth's patient guidance. I started making simple, edible meals. Even Eleanor's hostility began to thaw, ever so slightly. She was still critical, still sharp-tongued, but there was a new, grudging respect in her eyes. Life settled into a comfortable, predictable rhythm until one morning, everything changed. I woke up early to go to the market. As I was heading out the front door, I saw Grandma Eleanor standing by the front gate, talking to a man her own age. He was handsome, in a silver fox kind of way. As I watched, he leaned in and gave her a gentle kiss on the cheek. My jaw dropped. Grandma had a boyfriend. The two of them were talking quietly. I missed you at morning exercises the past few days, the man said. I was worried. Oh, my back was acting up, she replied, a girlish blush creeping up her neck. It's much better now. Here? Let me see, he said, placing a hand on the small of her back. Does it hurt here? Oh, yes, that's the spot. I couldn't resist. I crept up behind them and stuck my head between their two faces. Hey, who's this guy touching my grandma's back? They both jumped a foot in the air. The man clutched his chest, gasping for breath. Eleanor spun around, ready to slap me. Rachel, you nearly gave us both a heart attack. Sorry, I said, not sorry at all. I just saw this stranger getting a little too friendly with my grandmother and I got protective. Eleanor's hand flew to my mouth. Shh, not so loud. She turned to her gentleman friend. Henry, you should go. I'll see you at the park tomorrow. Henry, still flustered, nodded, and scurried away. The moment he was gone, I pounced. That's your boyfriend, isn't it? Don't be ridiculous. We're just friends. Friends who look at each other like that. Come on, Grandma, you're in love. At my age, don't be absurd. People would laugh. Who cares what people think? You're still beautiful, Grandma. You're vibrant. You deserve to be happy. She looked at me, a strange, soft expression on her face. You really think so? I'm still vibrant, totally. Like they say, the older the ginger, the spicier the kick. She blushed a deep red, but she couldn't hide her smile. It was the first time I'd ever seen her look truly happy. All right, she confessed. Henry and I, we do have feelings for each other, but this is our secret. You cannot tell anyone. Understand? I grinned. I know your secret now, so if you ever yell at me again, I'm telling Mom about your boyfriend. You wouldn't dare. I just winked at her. Try me. From now on, you and me, we're a team. She just shook her head, but she was smiling. I thought that was it. I thought my life was finally on track. I had a husband who, against all odds, I was starting to genuinely fall in love with. I had a mother-in-law who was an angel, and now I even had a truce with the dragon lady. Life was supposed to be simple, but it never is it? You see, what I didn't know was that a ghost from Alexander's past was about to walk back into his life. A ghost who had haunted him for 7 years, and she was about to burn my newfound happiness to the ground. It was 5 a.m, and my phone was ringing. The screen glowed with an unfamiliar number, but the caller ID read, Grandma, Eleanor. I blinked, confused. This was new. Usually, her method of waking me was more akin to a battering ram on the bedroom door. A phone call felt civilized, suspiciously so. Hello, I mumbled, my voice thick with sleep. Get down to my room. Now. Her voice was urgent, conspiratorial. Grandma, it's 5 a.m. If you come down right now, she cut in, her voice dropping to a whisper. You won't have to cook lunch today. You can order whatever you want. Pizza, Chinese. I don't care. That got my attention. My cooking skills had improved from dangerous to merely unreliable, but the daily chore of it was still a grind. You'll let me order takeout? Yes. Now get down here. It's an emergency. On my way. Alexander stirred beside me. What's going on? Grandma needs me for something. I slipped out of bed and tiptoed down the hall. I found her in her room, standing in front of her open closet in a state of utter panic. She was holding up 3 different tracksuits. Which one? She asked, her eyes wide with desperation. The brown, the yellow, or the pink? I stared at her. This is the emergency? A fashion crisis. It's not just a fashion crisis. It's a romantic crisis. I'm going to the park for my morning exercises. So, Henry will be there, she hissed. I need to look my best. I finally understood. Ah, it's a date, she blushed. It's not a date, it's coordinated calisthenics. I rolled my eyes. Grandma, please. I hate the brown. It's depressing. The yellow makes you look like a giant banana. Wear the pink. Pink is the color of love. Her face lit up. She quickly changed into the pink polka dot tracksuit, complete with a matching pink hat. She did a little twirl. How do I look? Like $1,000,000, I said. Then I had an idea. I ran back to my room, grabbed my reddest lipstick, and dabbed a little on her lips. There, perfect. All the old guys at the park are going to have heart palpitations. She giggled, a girlish, delighted sound. Oh, you're such a flatterer. It's not flattery if it's true, I said, steering her toward the door. Now go get him, Tiger. As she was leaving, I called out, Hey, Grandma, my beautiful, lovely Grandma. I'm thinking Vietnamese pho for lunch. Is that okay? She was so giddy, she just waved a hand over her shoulder. Whatever you want, dear. Have a wonderful day. I pumped my fist in the air. Yes. I ran back upstairs and dove back into bed. Later that morning, Alexander, Elizabeth, and I were sitting in the kitchen when they saw her coming up the driveway. Alexander's jaw dropped. Mom, is that Grandma? Elizabeth squinted through the window. I think so. Why is she dressed like a flamingo? Eleanor waltzed in, glowing. Rachel, darling, I'm famished. What are we eating? We're having pho. Grandma, I said cheerfully. setting a steaming bowl in front of her. "Oh, wonderful. But no beef for me, dear. My teeth aren't what they used to be." "Don't worry, Grandma," I said, patting her hand. "You eat whatever you want. If your teeth give you trouble, I'll personally drive you to the best dentist in Chicago and get you a new set of chompers. On me." Alexander and Elizabeth stared at this exchange as if they were watching a foreign film without subtitles. Alexander leaned over to his mother. "Mom, I think a hurricane is coming." Elizabeth nodded slowly. "I don't understand. Since when does she wear pink? Since when does she eat anything but rice for breakfast?" She looked at me, a new kind of wonder in her eyes. "It's you. You've changed her." Eleanor, slurping her noodles, overheard them. "What are you two whispering about over there?" She snapped, a flash of her old self returning. "I may be old, but I'm not deaf. An old woman can't wear pink?" "Of course you can, Mom," Elizabeth said quickly. "You look lovely." Grandma Eleanor and I just exchanged a secret smile. It felt like a perfect morning. A happy, domestic, ridiculously normal morning. But while we were laughing over noodles in our quiet suburban home, the ghost was making her move. Alexander's assistant buzzed his office intercom. "Mr. Thorne, there's a woman here to see you. A Miss Chloe." Alexander Sahil, "Send her in." He knew this day might come. He just hadn't expected it to be so soon. She walked in, looking exactly as he remembered. Beautiful, confident, with a smile that could disarm armies. She walked over to his desk and picked up a framed photo from our wedding. "So, you got married," she said, her voice a low purr. He nodded. "Chloe, how long have you known her?" "We met about a month before the wedding." Chloe laughed, a sound that was both musical and cruel. "A whirlwind romance? Is that what they're calling it these days? And what about us, Alex? What about our 7 years?" He stood up and walked to the window, his back to her. "Where have you been for the last 6 months, Chloe?" "I had some things to take care of." "Things to take care of. You sent me a text message. One text. It's over. Then you vanished. You changed your number. You disappeared from social media. I looked for you, Chloe. I was going out of my mind. You left me with nothing. So what right do you have to come back here now and ask me about us?" She walked up behind him, her voice suddenly soft, vulnerable. "You're right. I don't have any right. I'm sorry. But if I told you the reason I left, would you listen?" He turned to face her. "I'm listening." 6 months ago, she began, her eyes filling with tears. "I found a lump. The doctors, they said it was a tumor in my jaw. They said it was complicated, risky. I was so scared, Alex, and your company was going through that crisis. I didn't want to be another burden on you. I didn't want you to see me weak, sick, so I pushed you away. I had the surgery. I went through the treatments. Alone. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. And the whole time, the only thing that kept me going was the thought of seeing you again." She looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. "If you don't believe me, ask my friend, Amy. She visited me in the hospital." Alexander's expression softened. It was true, his company had been on the verge of collapse 6 months ago. The timing fit. "You were sick? Why didn't you tell me?" "I was trying to protect you," she sobbed, throwing her arms around him. "I missed you so much, Alex. I thought I was going to die without you." He gently disentangled himself from her embrace. "I'm sorry, Chloe, but I have a wife now. You need to move on. Find someone who will make you happy." Her tears stopped as quickly as they had started. Her expression hardened. "I was a fool to ever let you go. I never should have hidden it from you. I never imagined you'd replace me so quickly. He sighed. It's not like that. It's just fate, I guess. We're not meant to be. I don't want to find someone else, she said, her voice dropping to a seductive whisper. I want you. She stepped forward and kissed him. It was a kiss born of 7 years of history, of shared secrets and tangled memories. For a moment, he didn't resist. He was lost in the past. Then reality crashed back in. He gently pushed her away. Chloe, you have to go. I'm not going anywhere, she whispered, kissing his neck. Come and see me tonight, at Amy's place. We have so much to talk about. He hesitated. Please, Alex. For me, he finally nodded. Okay, tonight. Now, you should go. She gave him a quick, triumphant peck on the cheek and walked out, leaving him standing in the middle of his office, his mind a chaotic whirl of past and present. Chloe got into her car and immediately called Amy. Did you find him? Amy asked. I found him. Now, listen to me. I told him I was sick for the last 6 months. Cancer. So if he calls you, you tell him I was practically on my deathbed. Got it? There was a pause on the other end of the line. Chloe, that's insane. You weren't sick. You were in Seoul with that K-pop producer. Do you want me to forgive the $3,000 you owe me, or not? Chloe asked, her voice cold. Another pause. Fine, Amy sighed. You were sick. Very, very sick. Good girl, Chloe said, and hung up. That evening, Alexander came home looking distant, troubled. Is something wrong, honey? I asked. You seem off. No, nothing, he said, avoiding my eyes. Just tired. You don't feel well? I can make you some soup. No, it's okay. I think I'll just lie down for a bit. I was worried. I went downstairs and found Elizabeth in the kitchen. Mom, can you help me? I want to make a really good soup for Alexander. He's not feeling well. She smiled. Of course, dear. When did you become so thoughtful? I'm so proud of you. I felt a surge of warmth. I want to be a good wife. Like you. We made the soup together. When it was ready, I carried a bowl up to our room. Honey, I made you some soup. Sit up and eat. He looked surprised. You made this? Well, your mom helped. A lot. Here, let me feed you. No, I can do it myself. You don't have to. What's the point of having a wife if she can't spoil you when you're sick? I said, holding a spoonful to his lips. He smiled, a real, genuine smile. He took my hand and stroked my hair. You're so sweet, Rachel. Thank you. In that moment, I felt it so clearly. I loved this man, this kind, gentle, complicated man. The marriage that had started as a joke, a business transaction, had somehow, miraculously, become real. And I knew, with a certainty that scared me, that I would do anything to protect it. The phone rang twice before he picked up. Hey, you, he said, his voice sounding distant, distracted. Hey, I replied, trying to keep my own voice steady, light. What are you up to? Oh, just finishing up some work at the office. I don't feel very well. I lied, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. I'm feeling a little dizzy. Can you come home early today? There was a pause. For a terrifying second, I thought he was going to say no. Dizzy? He asked, a flicker of concern in his tone. Okay, yeah, just lie down and rest. I'll wrap things up here and be home soon. You promise? I needed to hear him say it. I promise. I'll see you in a bit. I hung up, a small wave of relief washing over me. He was coming home. He was choosing me. That meant Chloe was lying. It had to. But I had underestimated her, and I had overestimated the strength of his promise. Chloe returned to her friend Amy's apartment, her face a mess of blood and swelling. She looked in the mirror and didn't even flinch. Instead, she took out her phone, snapped a picture of her bruised and battered face, and sent it to Alexander. The caption read, "This is what your wife did to me. I guess this is what I get for loving you." Alexander's phone buzzed. He saw the photo, and his blood ran cold. He immediately called her. "Chloe, oh my God, what happened to your face? Isn't it obvious?" She sobbed into the phone. "Your wife did this. I went to your house to visit Eleanor. I just wanted to say hello. When your wife found out who I was, she went insane. She attacked me. Why would she? Why were you at my house? I told you, I missed Eleanor. I missed your family. Is that a crime?" Her voice was thick with manufactured pain. "She's an animal, Alex. A violent, uneducated monster." He sighed, a sound of deep, weary resignation. "Did you put anything on it? Some ice?" "No, I can't do anything. It hurts too much to even move," she wailed. "But don't worry about me. I'm sure your wife is more important." "Stop it, Chloe. That's not fair, isn't it? You care more about her feelings than my actual physical pain." He was caught, trapped between a promise to me and the visceral guilt her picture had ignited. "Okay," he said finally. I'll pick up some antiseptic and bandages. I'll bring them over. Just stay put." "You're coming?" she asked, a note of triumph in her voice. "I'm coming." He hung up. A moment later, my phone buzzed. It was a text from him. "Something's come up with a client. I have to go to a meeting. Won't be back until after 9. Eat dinner without me. Get some rest." I stared at the screen, the words blurring through my tears. I dropped the phone. It clattered to the floor, the sound echoing the shattering of my own fragile hope. A client. He had promised he was coming home to me. And now, a client. What kind of client meeting requires bandages and antiseptic? The thoughts swirled in my head, a toxic cocktail of suspicion and heartbreak. Was he with her? Was everything she said true? I sat there, paralyzed, for what felt like hours. I watched the clock tick past 6, then 7. I heard Eleanor and Elizabeth downstairs, their voices a distant murmur. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Finally, I picked up the phone. I called my friend Jessica. "Let's go out," I said, my voice flat. "I need a drink." "Rachel, are you okay?" "I can't tonight. I'm with Matt." "It's fine," I said, though it wasn't. "I'll go by myself. I just needed to numb the pain, just for one night. Tomorrow, I would face the wreckage of my life. But tonight, I just wanted to forget." I ended up at an old dive bar I used to frequent, a dimly lit place that smelled of stale beer and regret. The owner, a gruff old man named Sal, recognized me immediately. "Well, look what the cat dragged in," he said, wiping down the bar. "Haven't seen you in months. Heard you got married." I nodded, sliding onto a stool. Word travels fast. "So what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be home with the hubby?" "He's working late," I said, gesturing for a bottle. "Meeting with a client." Sal looked at me, his weathered face full of a wisdom I didn't want to hear. "You know, men don't like it when their wives drink alone in bars, kid." "My husband doesn't care what I do," I said, pouring myself a shot of whiskey. The burn was a welcome distraction. He's too busy with his old girlfriend to notice. "You're kidding me." "I wish I was." I downed the shot. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to get drunk in peace." He just shook his head and went back to frying chicken wings. I sat there, drinking, letting the alcohol and the grief wash over me. I was on my third shot when the door opened and a young man walked in. He looked out of place, too clean cut for a dive like this. He walked up to the bar. "Hey Sal, I'm starving. Got anything left?" Sal's face broke into a wide grin. "Hayden, my boy, good to see you. What can I get for ya?" "Anything. I'm not picky. Just put it on my tab. Payday's next week. For you, kid, it's on the house. You want the usual? Chicken and rice." "You're a lifesaver, Sal." "Don't call me Sal," the old man grumbled. "It's Mr. Salvatore to you." "Sorry, Mr. Salvatore. I'm just busting your chops. Sit. I'll bring it out." The young man, Hayden, took the stool next to mine. He glanced at me, then at the nearly empty bottle of whiskey in front of me. He shook his head slightly, a look of disapproval on his face. I glared at him. "What are you looking at?" He just shrugged and turned away. I was too drunk to care. I called out to Sal, "Hey, bring me 2 whole roasted chickens. And keep 'em coming." Hayden looked over at me, surprised. Sal brought out his plate of food. "Here you go, Hayden. Eat up." He then turned to me. "Kid, are you sure you can eat 2 whole chickens? Why don't I just bring you half of one?" I was drunk and belligerent. "What, you think I can't afford it? Do you know who I am? My husband is the CEO of Thorn Industries. Now bring me my damn chickens." Hayden choked on a piece of chicken, then started to laugh. You're CEO Thorn's wife." Sal leaned in and whispered to him, "Yeah, poor kid. Just got married a month ago, and the husband's already stepping out on her." Hayden looked at me with a new expression. Pity. I hated it. "Where's Mr. Thorn tonight?" he asked, his voice gentle. "Why are you here alone?" I turned to him, my vision blurring. "Who are you?" "My name's Hayden. I work at Thorn Industries. I'm the head of the marketing department." "Oh," I said, the fight draining out of me. He's working. He works late, every night, until 10. Hayden looked down at his plate. He knew it was a lie. Everyone at the office knew Alexander left at 4 o'clock every day. Everyone knew he was spending his evenings with Chloe. He felt a pang of sympathy for the girl sitting next to him, drowning her sorrows in cheap whiskey. He'd seen her picture on Alexander's desk. She was beautiful, vibrant. Now, she just looked broken. Sal brought out a plate with half a chicken on it. I took one bite and pushed it away. "This chicken sucks. Bring me another one. That's the last one we got, kid," Sal said gently. "It's late. Maybe you should go home." I stood up, swaying slightly. "Fine, I'll go somewhere else." I fumbled in my pockets for my wallet. It wasn't there. I'd left it at home. My phone was my only currency. Sal. I forgot my wallet." Sal sighed. "It's all right, kid. Pay me next time." "No," I said, my drunken pride kicking in. I slammed my phone on the bar. "Here, take this. I'll come back for it tomorrow." "You don't have to do that." But I was already stumbling towards the door. Hayden quickly stood up. "Sal, add her bill to my tab. I'll pay for it." He grabbed my phone from the bar. "And give this back to her. She'll need it." He ran out after me. "Hey, wait up." I turned, annoyed. "What do you want?" "You forgot your phone. And I wanted to call Mr. Thorn for you. Get him to pick you up." I laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "Don't bother. He's busy. With his." Client. I tried to call him, just to prove my point. The call went straight to voicemail. See? Unavailable. The tears I'd been holding back finally started to fall. Hayden looked helpless. Let me give you a ride home. No, I sniffled, wiping my eyes. My mom's place is just around the corner. I'm fine. I took the phone from him. Thanks for this. I'll pay you back. I looked at the phone in my hand, this sleek, expensive piece of technology that was supposed to connect me to the world, to my husband. It felt alien, useless. You know what? I said, holding it out to him. Keep it, or throw it away. I don't want it anymore. And I got on my scooter and drove away, leaving him standing on the sidewalk, holding my phone, a look of profound sadness on his face. Hayden sat in his small office, the phone, my phone, feeling heavy in his jacket pocket. He had intended to give it to Alexander, to tell him his wife was in distress, but as he'd approached the CEO's office, he'd stopped. Through the glass partition, he saw them, Alexander and Chloe, locked in a passionate embrace, kissing as if they were the only two people in the world. Hayden had turned and walked away, a bitter taste in his mouth. He couldn't bring himself to interrupt them. He couldn't bring himself to give the phone to a man who was so blatantly betraying the woman he'd just seen crying in a bar. He sat at his desk and, on an impulse he couldn't explain, turned my phone on. He just wanted to see if I was okay. A part of him hoped I had another way to contact my family, another phone. He didn't find one, but he did find pictures. Pictures of me and Alexander on our wedding day, looking stiff and awkward. Pictures of me with my friends, laughing and carefree. Pictures of a life that seemed both chaotic and full of a light that had been extinguished last night. He sighed, turned the phone off, and put it away. She told me to throw it away, he thought, but I can't. I'll hold on to it. I'll give it back to her when the time is right. Meanwhile, in Alexander's office, Chloe was asking for money. Honey, she cooed, tracing a finger along his jawline. Can you lend me $200,000? He pulled back, surprised. What for? I already gave you the money for that investment. Oh, this isn't for business, she said breezily. It's a family thing. Right, a family thing, he said, his mind clearly elsewhere. He was thinking of my demand, of the coldness in my eyes. The two identical requests, coming on the same day, felt like a strange, cruel coincidence. I'll transfer it this afternoon, he said, turning back to his computer. I took the money. I didn't feel guilty. I saw it as reparations. I spent the next 2 days transforming myself. I got a new haircut, a sleek, professional bob. I bought a new wardrobe, full of sharp power suits and elegant dresses. I had my nails done, my skin treated. I was forging a new identity, creating a suit of armor for the battle to come. This wasn't just about getting a job. This was about retribution. The marriage might be a lost cause, a sinking ship, but I wasn't going to go down with it. I was going to be the one to set it on fire. I was going to play a long, slow game with my husband and his mistress. I would make them pay for their lies, for their condescension, for the humiliation they had put me through. Hayden, meanwhile, was having his own encounters with Chloe. She had started showing up at the office every day, treating it like her personal clubhouse. She'd often wander into the marketing department, trying to flirt with him. Hey there, handsome, she said one afternoon, leaning against his doorframe. All alone? Hayden didn't look up from his work. I like being alone. I could keep you company, she purred. No, thank you, he said, his voice polite but firm. I wouldn't want Mr. Thorne to get the wrong idea. He doesn't have to know, she whispered, stepping into his office. Hayden finally looked at her, his expression unreadable. I'm not interested in secrets, Miss Chloe. Please excuse me. I have work to do. He stood up, walked past her, and headed to the break room, leaving her standing there, fuming. Arrogant jerk, she thought. Just because he's handsome, he thinks he can treat me like that. But she was intrigued. He was a challenge. More handsome than Alexander, more mysterious. And, as she had recently discovered through a little digging, he was the sole heir to a massive media empire. His family owned 7 major corporations and a chain of luxury resorts. This job at Thorne Industries was just a game for him, a 1-year experiment in self-sufficiency before he took over his father's throne. She smiled to herself. Now that was a prize worth winning. My first day of work, the house was buzzing with a strange, nervous energy. Eleanor had woken up at dawn to make me a special good luck sweet soup with lotus seeds. Eat this, dear, she insisted. They say it clears the mind and brings success. Elizabeth just smiled. I hope it doesn't make her fall asleep at her desk, Mom. Nonsense, Eleanor huffed. My granddaughter is going to be a star. Now, eat up, Rachel, and don't worry about dinner. Grandma will cook for you tonight. I was touched, truly. Their support felt like a small, warm light in the darkness of my anger. Alexander was waiting for me by the door, ready to go. We can drive in together. No, thanks, I said, grabbing my scooter keys. I'll take my own ride. Why? The traffic will be terrible, because I'm a big girl now, I said, giving him a tight, false smile. And I don't need you to hold my hand. Besides, what if you have a late client meeting? I need to be able to get home on my own. The barb hit its mark. He flinched. Fine. I'll see you there. I arrived at the office before him. As I was walking towards the elevator, I heard a familiar voice. Rachel? I turned. It was Hayden. Oh, hi, I said, surprised to see him. I didn't know you were. Do you have an appointment with Mr. Thorne? No, I work here now. His eyes widened in surprise. Then a slow smile spread across his face. Really? That's great. Welcome to the team. Thanks. We stood in an awkward silence for a moment. So, he began. I guess you don't remember me. I frowned. Have we met before? At Sal's bar, the other night, you were having a rough time. The memory was a blur of whiskey and tears. I vaguely remembered a kind face, a gentle voice. Oh, God, was I? Did I do anything embarrassing? He chuckled. Not at all. But, you left this. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out my phone. I stared at it. I thought I'd lost it. Thank you so much. I owe you one. Don't worry about it. He hesitated. So, you're really working here? What department? Marketing. That's my department. I'm the head of marketing. He looked slightly flustered. I'm Hayden, by the way. 28. Rachel, 20. The age difference suddenly felt vast. So, you'll be my boss? He looked even more flustered. I guess so. But please, if you need anything, just ask. Just then, Alexander arrived. He took me to the marketing department and introduced me to the team. This is my wife, Rachel, he announced. She's new to the corporate world, so please help her out. Hayden, I'm putting her under your supervision. Of course, Mr. Thorne, Hayden said, his face a professional mask. Alexander turned to me, his voice softening into that familiar, patronizing tone. Just take it easy, honey. Do what you can. Don't stress yourself out. If you need anything, just ask. I will, I said, my voice sweet as poison. The moment Alexander left, the office started buzzing. Everyone knew about him and Chloe. My presence was like a lit match in a room full of gasoline. The woman at the desk next to mine, a gossipy woman named Sarah, leaned over. "The she-devil has arrived," she whispered, nodding towards the hallway. I looked up and saw Chloe sauntering past, heading directly for Alexander's office. "Does she come here every day?" I asked. "Like clockwork," Sarah said, flaunting it in everyone's faces. Honestly, if I were you, I'd drag her out of there by her hair. I just smiled. "Oh, I've already tried that. It didn't stick. Don't worry, I have other plans." I stood up and walked towards Alexander's office. I could hear their voices through the door. "I can't believe you let her work here," Chloe was saying, her voice a furious hiss. "I didn't have a choice, Chloe. What was I supposed to do? Now I can't even come and see you. You'll have to come less often, or be more discreet. What if I miss you? Then I'll come to you." I didn't bother knocking. I just pushed the door open. "Honey," I said, my voice dripping with false sweetness. They sprang apart like two guilty teenagers. Chloe recovered first. "Don't you know how to knock? It's the height of rudeness to enter a director's office without knocking." I walked over to the desk and perched on the edge, directly in front of Alexander. "This is my husband's office. I don't need to knock, but you're a different story. You might want to be careful. That cut on your forehead still looks a little fresh. Wouldn't want it to get infected." Chloe's face turned purple with rage. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm just stating a fact. Health and safety in the workplace, you know." I turned to Alexander. "Don't you agree, darling?" He looked from me to Chloe, a deer caught in the headlights. "Rachel, Chloe is a major shareholder in this company. You should be more respectful." I laughed, a cold, sharp sound. "A shareholder, right." I stood up and leaned in close to them, my voice dropping to a low, dangerous whisper. "Listen to me, both of you. Don't think for a second that I don't know what's going on. I know everything. I'm just choosing not to make a scene, for now. But if you push me, if I catch you, you will both regret it. I promise you that." I gave them my brightest, most terrifying smile. "Have a wonderful day, you two." And I walked out, leaving them in a stunned, furious silence. In the hallway, I almost bumped into Hayden. He was holding a stack of files, pretending not to have been listening at the door. "Oh, sorry," he said, avoiding my eyes. "It's fine," I said, and walked back to my desk, a strange sense of exhilaration pumping through my veins. The war had officially begun. The world tilted on its axis. One minute I was a wife, a fighter, a woman scorned but standing. The next, I was just wreckage. I stood in the cold concrete cavern of the parking garage, the smell of gasoline and Chloe's expensive perfume hanging in the air. The silence they left behind was louder than the screaming. "Are you okay?" Hayden's voice was quiet, cutting through the fog in my head. I shook my head, not in answer to his question, but in disbelief. Did that just happen? "I'm afraid so," he said grimly. Suddenly, a new wave of terror washed over me, cold and sharp. "My husband, he's taking her to the hospital. They're going to call the police, aren't they? They're going to say I assaulted her." Hayden put a gentle hand on my arm. His touch was grounding, a small point of stillness in my spinning universe. "Hey, look at me." I forced my eyes to meet his. They were steady, calm. "Don't panic. Whatever happens, I'm here. I'll be your witness." I saw what happened, but I could barely hear him. My mind was racing, picturing flashing lights, handcuffs, a cold, sterile interrogation room. I started to tremble. "Hayden, I'm scared," I whispered, the words barely audible. What if he dies? I didn't mean. I wasn't trying to kill him. "Who? Alexander?" he asked, confused. "No, the driver." When I threw the key, oh God, what if I blinded him? He looked at me, his brow furrowed with a deep, aching sympathy. He understood. My mind was fractured, the events jumbling together into a nonsensical nightmare. "Rachel, listen to me. No one is going to die. Alexander and Chloe are fine. They have some cuts and bruises, that's all. You're not a murderer. You were defending yourself." His words were a lifeline. I clung to them. He was wrong about one thing, though. They did call the police. An hour later, 2 officers showed up at my desk. The entire office fell silent, all eyes on me as they snapped the cold, heavy metal of the handcuffs around my wrists. Hayden was there in an instant. He walked beside me as they led me out, his hand hovering near my back, a silent promise of support. "Don't be afraid," he murmured, so low that only I could hear. "Everything is going to be all right. I promise." I spent 3 days in a holding cell. 3 days of echoing silence, the smell of disinfectant, and the crushing weight of my own failure. My mother and Elizabeth came to see me. They held my hands through the thick glass partition, their faces streaked with tears. They didn't ask for explanations. They didn't blame me. They just cried. On the 3rd day, I was released. The charges had been dropped. Hayden was waiting for me outside, along with my mother. The moment I stepped out into the blinding sunlight, my mom wrapped her arms around me, holding me so tightly I could barely breathe. "It's over, baby," she sobbed into my hair. "Let's go home." On the car ride back to her house, Hayden filled me in. "Alexander and Chloe are already out of the hospital. Just superficial injuries, mostly. Your mother-in-law and grandmother read them the riot act. Apparently, Eleanor's words could have withered a redwood." "So they're okay?" I asked, a strange mix of relief and disappointment washing over me. "Physically, yes," he said, "but things are complicated. Alexander's company is in serious trouble, on the verge of bankruptcy, from what I hear. And Chloe, the minute she heard the news, she disappeared, changed her number again, vanished into thin air. I just stared out the window. A few days ago, she was ready to die for him. Now that the money's gone, so is she. She's a pragmatist," Hayden said, his voice laced with disdain. "It's what she does." "And Alexander?" I asked quietly. "How is he?" "He's not good. He's in shock. About the business, about Chloe, about everything." I sighed, a deep, weary sigh that seemed to come from the very core of my being. "It's over, isn't it? Me and him." "I think so," he said gently. "I hope he'll be okay," I said, and I was surprised to find that I meant it. The anger was gone, replaced by a hollow sort of sadness. "I hope he gets through this." "He'll have to," Hayden said. He paused. "My 1-year contract at Thorn Industries is up. I'll be leaving soon, going back to my family's business." "Oh," I said, feeling a strange pang of loss. That's great for you. I want to ask you something," he said, turning to look at me. His gaze was intense, unwavering. "I want you to come with me. Let me take care of you, Rachel. Let me be the one to protect you from now on." I looked at him, at this kind, decent man who had appeared in my life like a guardian angel. He had seen me at my absolute worst, drunk and belligerent, violent and broken, and yet here he was, offering me a future. For a fleeting second, I was tempted. It would be so easy to say yes, to let someone else carry the weight, to fall into the safety of his world. But I couldn't. I smiled, a small, watery smile. Hayden, I can't. Thank you, but I can't. Why not? Because the woman you met, she's not me. Not anymore. I don't want to be taken care of. I don't want to rely on anyone. For the first time in my life, I want to stand on my own 2 feet. I took a deep breath. It felt like the first clean breath I'd taken in months. Thank you for everything, for helping me, for believing in me. He didn't push. He just nodded, a look of sad understanding on his face. He drove me to my mother's house and walked me to the door. Good luck, Rachel, he said, and for a moment, I thought he was going to kiss me, but he just squeezed my hand. I'll be watching, and I'll always be here if you need me. And then he was gone. I stood on the porch of my childhood home, the place where my story of failure had begun. But it felt different now. It wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. I had been a disaster, a joke, a one-night wife. I had been careless and reckless, and I had hurt people, including myself. But I had also fought back. I had survived. The future was a blank page. It was terrifying, but it was also mine, all mine.